Good morning, gentlemen of the press. So this is an address presented by Mazi Udochi Joke, President General, Okennachi Kindred Affirms, this day, 11th January 2024, at Eberechukwu. It is titled, Crowning a New EZE ARO. Our case. Gentlemen of the press, a lot has happened in Eberechukwu Kingdom in recent times. It has been a slew of rehashed falsehood, accusations, calumny, and damaging misrepresentations propagated against Okennachi Kindred for the emergence of Prince Eberechukwu Oji as EZE ARO designate. In an enviable ancient kingdom like Eberechukwu, it is not unexpected that the exalted seal of royalty would be sought after by the princes. When the EZE ARO throne becomes vacant as a result of an EZE joining his ancestors, there should not be any vacuum for too long before another EZE takes over. As nature abhors a vacuum, so does our kingdom, so that the progress and well-being of the people can be assured. What happened is that Umuaru were worried about the non-presentation of a new EZE ARO more than 2 years after His Majesty Mazi Okoro, the late EZE ARO, left the throne of his forefathers to take a well-deserved eternal rest after 25 eventful and transformational years. So on November 23rd, 2022, 2 years later, the EZE ARO leadership, EZE ARO is the umbrella town union, wrote a letter to Okennachi leadership on the matter. On the 27th December 2022, the body of EZE ARO national patrons, led by Professor Okori John, followed suit with a visit to the Okennachi leadership. The Okennachi Kindred was seen as incompetent because of their seeming inability to produce an EZE ARO in time. It is important to emphasize that Umuaru demanded a younger person as successor, especially when they consider that Mazi Oji, that is head of the royal family, and the most qualified in line of succession, is 91 years old. Faced with this situation, Okennachi Kindred commissioned a group of eminent persons with a mandate to interact with the princes, to broker peace and create the atmosphere to help the princes come up with a solution on how to give Aro an EZE. The effort finally paid off, and the other princes agreed that those over 70 years will not participate. We also got the most senior to bless and relinquish his claim to the throne. However, there was still no consensus on who should be the EZE ARO, as divisions persisted between and amongst the families. Following the inability of the royal family to agree on a consensus candidate after almost 3 years, the Okennachi Kindred developed a framework to select an EZE ARO, and on the 22nd of September 2023, the report was presented to the royal family, the princes and representatives of the royal families. The royal families approved the template to be used for the selection and were full of gratitude to Okennachi Kindred for their intervention. However, it should be noted that even at that meeting, the royal family units were encouraged to produce a consensus candidate from among themselves before considering the option of selection by the Kindred Committee. The meeting resolved to pursue the selection option only if the three royal families failed to agree on one consensus candidate. A deadline of 5th October 2023 to submit names of their best candidates was set if they didn't agree on one candidate. Before the 5th October 2023 deadline, Okennachi Kindred had received nominations in writing for the throne of EZE ARO. The panel received the following nominations from Asi Ekoke, Prince Obiahobonayo, from Kanu Okoroke, Prince Godwin Idei, and from Oji Okoroke, Prince Okennachi and Prince Eberechukwu Oji. The two nominees from the Oji Okoro family were requested to reconcile and present one candidate, leading to Prince Oji stepping down for Prince Eberechukwu Oji to be the preferred candidate of the Oji Okoro family unit. After the submission of nominations, the President General of Okennachi Kindred had to constitute a panel of Okennachi sons, observing the three traditional units constituting the kindred to evaluate the candidates. This panel had 7 persons, with 1 person, Mazi Kennedy, superintending. With 2 candidates left, on the 9th or 17th October 2023, the panel advised the duo of Princes Goddy and Eberechukwu Oji to meet privately and agree on one candidate with a proviso that they will only be evaluated if they fail to reach a consensus. On 18th October 2023, when the proceedings resumed, the candidates were asked by the panel the outcome of their consultation. They both confirmed they could not agree on one candidate. They then both agreed to submit themselves to be evaluated. That is, they both voluntarily offered themselves to participate in the selection process by the committee. Both candidates took turns and promised to support each other, whoever emerged as a winner. The entire people present were jubilant as the prevailing sense of peace and unity. Everybody, the candidates inclusive, proceeded to Ukovo Aro, that's Aro ancestral holy place, where Mazi Prince Oji, the oldest prince and head of the royal family, poured libation for peace and made a covenant for both. It was all smiles and camaraderie. The libation ceremony at Ukovo was captured in pictures and video. What I'm saying here is that throughout the entire process, there was pictorial evidences, the video evidences. Thereafter, each candidate was given a chance to market himself and answer questions. During these presentations, 2 persons were allowed to be present for each candidate. The 2 persons were also allowed to make statements in support of their candidates. Mazi Philip Kanu Okoro and Mazi Okoro Idei spoke on behalf of Prince Goddy Idei. Mazi Oji Oji and Mazi Kanu Okoro Oji were for Prince Eberechukwu Oji. After the presentation of their profiles and taking questions from the 2 candidates, the 7-member selection panel did the evaluation and returned a verdict of 5-2 in favor of Eberechukwu Oji. In other words, Prince Eberechukwu Oji is a person Okennachi Kindred selected as EZE ARO designates. Gentlemen of the press, permit me to inform you that before the commencement of the selection proceedings on the 18th of October 2023, Okennachi Kindred received communication from Ezibomisi, Mazi Kanu Wakano, and EZE ARO N'Okporo, dictating to Okennachi who should become EZE ARO and who should not. a responsibility totally outside their competence. Their main point was the bogus theory that onye nna ya dị ndụ anaghị achị eze. The duo ordered Okennachi Kindred to select Prince Goddy Idei and went ahead to threaten that any candidate short of him would not be recognized by them. The action of the duo of Abomination and EZE ARO was entirely meddlesome and a breach of the independence of the federating kindreds in Eberechukwu. Besides, the action was also in violation of the 2nd January 2015 vow entered and signed by Aro traditional rulers and Uzuka Aro patrons and validated by the constant judgment of 26 October 2015 by Justice EZE ARO of Abia State High Court, Umuahia, that, quote, no kindred should interfere, no kindred EZE should interfere with internal village administration and selection of EZE ARO, unquote. The panel considered this communication from EZE Abomination and resolved to proceed, arguing that the great Aro ancestor Okennachi was alive when his son Oke became EZE ARO. Also, it was agreed that Mazi Prince Oji Oji, being the eldest and head of the family, had waived his right as Okwarezi, and that confers traditional rights on the beneficiary. It's also important to state that in Igbo culture, when your father raises your hand or speaks into your hand, asks you to go forward, he has given you authority to go forward. It's an accepted norm everywhere. Today, as I speak, Prince Eberechukwu Oji, in line with the Eberechukwu tradition of crowning an EZE, having fulfilled being accepted by Ndi Oke Atoro, presented and accepted at Utugugu with the traditional rites performed, presented to and accepted by Bianco and Amaja, that is, having been accepted by the 3 units of Okennachi Kindred, Prince Eberechukwu Oji immediately stands as EZE ARO designate. This is Aro tradition. It was therefore in shock and utter disbelief that Okennachi Kindred learned that Prince Goddy Idei, who failed at the selection process, brought to EZE Abomination on October 20th for him to put on him what he called Okpu Aronsi and called him EZE ARO. This is unheard of in Aro tradition. It is not only an abomination. This is pure gangsterism, a total illegality and a nullity. The EZE ARO stool is not for gangsters. Goddy Idei is an impostor, since it was not him that the Okennachi Kindred selected to be EZE ARO. Goddy Idei has political backers who are determined to set the Aro kingdom on fire. They are not only providing him funds, they are mounting vicious campaigns of lies and propaganda to deceive the world. The villains are playing the victim. Truth is under assault in the Aro kingdom. To avoid a clash and bloodbath in the Aro kingdom, we sent a petition to Uzuka Aro and the Abia State government. We are aware that the governor, to make sure there's no breaking of law and order in Eberechukwu, invited and held 3 private meetings with the duo, that is Goddy Idei and Eberechukwu Oji, to resolve the matter. And when that failed, an investigative panel of inquiry was set up to look into the issue and resolve the matter. That panel was an open panel, which everybody was free to attend and give their side of the story. EZE Abomination was suspended for interfering in the traditional affairs of another kindred and invited to defend his actions at the panel set up by the government, but he refused to honor the invitations. In the meantime, government ordered the candidates to stay action with their planned coronation activities, pending the report of the Abia State panel on EZE ARO. As we speak, Prince Goddy Idei continued to parade himself illegally as EZE ARO, leading to his being charged in court for contempt and impersonation. Okennachi Kindred, being peaceful, law-abiding, and trying not to rock the boat. A leader does not scatter. A leader brings together. As a kindred that produces EZE ARO, it is our duty to ensure that there is peace in Eberechukwu. And we have refused to be dragged to the mud by the activities of these people who are contesting a process that was transparent, open, fair, in which they participated voluntarily. The candidate participated voluntarily. And when he lost, he began to protest. If he had won, he would have been jubilating. So this is the situation. An open process, transparent process that we consider 95% fair and just, open to everybody, participated fully by them, submitted themselves voluntarily. And then when they lost, they began to protest. And then it's important also that the Okennachi Kindred, we took this matter up at our AGM on the 1st of January this year, and we reached resolutions. The Kindred arrived at resolutions, which I'm going to read to you. The communique on EZE ARO coronation by Okennachi Kindred. You shall get a copy of this, but I read it to you. The matter. The Okennachi Kindred Eberechukwu at its annual general meeting held on January 1st, 2024 at Alpha Plus Hotels and Movie Eberechukwu, amongst other things, considered extensively the selection of the EZE ARO designate, Prince Eberechukwu Oji by the Okennachi Kindred, and the postponement of the coronation ceremony that was earlier scheduled to take place on December 26, 2023, to enable Abia State government to conclude investigations into issues that emanated as a result of the parading of an impostor as EZE ARO. Our resolutions. The Okennachi Kindred, after extensive deliberations and review of ARO traditional norms, states as follows. 1. That there is only one kingdom in Eberechukwu, and the head of the kingdom is the EZE ARO. 2. There are 3 kindred units that make up Eberechukwu kingdom. These kindred units are Okennachi, Abomination, and EZE ARO, and each has a kindred head. While the EZE ARO comes from the Okennachi kindred, the other 2 kindred of Abomination and EZE ARO are headed by Abomination and EZE ARO. 3. That in Eberechukwu tradition, custom and practice over the centuries, and recent consent judgment of Abia State High Court on 26 October 2015, each kindred or village select its EZE Ogo without outside interference of any kindred head or village head. 4. That Abomination's action in crowning an impostor is a traditional interference in Okennachi Kindred affairs a breach of the Aro Kingdom Phobia's covenant, an abomination that must be remediated through necessary atonement and cleansing. 5. That Prince Eberechukwu Oji and Prince Goddy Idei, sequel to their nomination by their respective family units of Ndi Oro, agreed to submit themselves to be evaluated and voluntarily participate in the selection process. Both pledged to support whoever emerged winner and consummated the covenant with a traditional libation conducted at Ukwu of Eberechukwu ancestral holy place by the elders of the royal family, Prince Oji Oji. 6. That the selection of Prince Eberechukwu Oji as EZE ARO on 18th October 2023 as conducted by a panel of 7 Okennachi Kindred EZE ARO committee with a verdict of 5-2 in favor of Eberechukwu Oji, followed the traditional process and endorsed by the 3 Otusi that make up Okennachi, is final and irrevocable, thus cannot be revisited or reopened under any disguise. 7. On the issue of the father being alive, it is noted that the older princes in line of succession to EZE ARO's throne, in compliance with global cultural realities, waive their right to the throne and bless the younger princes to take their slot. When an heir voluntarily relinquishes his right, it can be conferred on any beneficiary without blemish. 8. That the tenure of Arianzo Eberechukwu by the emergence of EZE ARO designate on 18th October 2023 has ended and ceases to exist. And the head of the royal family and Okwareze Mazi Prince Oji Oji, or the EZE ARO designate, as it permits, shall immediately assume all roles pending the release of Abia State Government Investigation Panel Report. 9. That we endorse in totality all the actions of the leadership of Okennachi Kindred towards this cause and pledge our loyalty and unflinching support to ensure the realization of a united Eberechukwu kingdom based on equity, justice, and fairness amongst the constituents. This endorsement and confidence in the Okennachi leadership is further strengthened by the overwhelming majority vote of the AGM delegates to uphold the process that produced Prince Eberechukwu Oji as EZE ARO designate. 10. That the Okennachi Kindred is poised and committed to uphold the ancient covenants by our forebears, as well as the rights and privileges of other kindred and institutions of governance in our kingdom. So I appeal to Eberechukwu, Umuaro, and all the kindred to come together so that we can build a new path of harmony, prosperity, and renaissance for our kingdom. We believe that we can begin a new chapter in the glorious story of Eberechukwu Kingdom. 11. That Okennachi Kindred detests in its entirety every action by individuals or groups motivated by political considerations and will take actions as appropriate to isolate the EZE ARO throne from partisan interests and considerations which do not augur well for the stability and wholesome development of Eberechukwu Kingdom. 12. That a petition be sent to the Abia State government to stop the parade of an impostor as EZE ARO. 13. That we pledge our loyalty to the Abia State government and Abia State panel of inquiry on the EZE ARO matter and support any due process to unravel the conspiracy leading to the parade of an impostor as EZE ARO. This communique was signed by Mazi Chimadike, who was chairman of the communique drafting committee, Mazi Ernest Woman, who was secretary of that committee, Mazi Nkemo, chairman, home branch, Dr. Henry Onyado, who is a coordinator in diaspora, and Mazi Udochijioke, President General of Okennachi Kindred. Gentlemen of the press, we shall give you copies also of the nominations from the various houses nominating their candidates for the evaluation. It was not a process that was thoroughly conducted, and each of the houses, family units, nominated their candidates. We have told you what happened, and I'll stop so far for any interaction. Thank you, gentlemen.
My name is Maze Makano Evi. By the special grace of God and by the powers of the Okennachi people, the leadership, I was the one that presided over the selection process of the new EZE ARO. The selection process ought to have started a year after the demise of the last EZE ARO, Mazi Vincent Obunia Okoro. But due to certain conflicts and misunderstandings in the palace, it dragged up to 3 years. But within that period, the Okennachi people were being bombarded here and there by other kindreds and the leadership of Nzukaro to get for Okennachi to produce the next EZE ARO. Okennachi went into action, did what they ought to do. We brought the whole families together and asked them to produce one candidate for the Okennachi to produce as the EZE ARO elect. They couldn't. After 1 year, they couldn't. 2 years, we met again, and we now tell them, since you people could not agree on one candidate, give us one candidate each, and they produced. And we gave condition. They have to be signed. The nomination must be signed by 2 members of the royal family from their family unit, which they did in writing. And we sat. We had interactions with them. We tried to broker peace. From 4, they reduced to 3. From 3, they reduced to 2. The 2, for 2 days or 3 days, we were on them to reach a compromise to give us one candidate. But they were unable. And so they submitted themselves to the entire process or entire processes from the beginning to the end. And at the middle of that, we asked them, now that you two have not agreed, what do we do? The selection process must and should involve interrogation, interview, and other processes. The whole royalties assembled. The kingmakers, the select assembled. And we began to ask them questions. Individually, they answered. We brought them together. We asked them questions, they answers. The kingmakers were evaluating their responses and other characteristics that are required for selection. At the end, we asked them, should one person lose, would the other accept him? They say yes. Would you support? Each of them said yes. And we went to what we may call religious processes. We prayed. After praying, we had to go to the traditional process of reaching a covenant at Ukwu of Aro, where all of them submitted themselves with the eldest or the oldest prince in the Ndioke family, Mazi Oji Kanoji, carried out the function, what we normally call libation, Egovo n'okwu Igbo. And he did that, and everybody was there, and then and all these things were recorded, documented by videos, by photographs. Nobody objected. And when we came back, the selection process commenced. And The kingmakers or those who will interview them will ask them, who amongst the two is their preferred candidate? The person will answer with his mouth, selection. He select. I will ask another person, he will speak with his mouth and select. And the whole 7 selected. And I repeated it, they selected. My job was to announce the result. And the result was very clear and transparent. 5 against 2, or 2 against 5, wherever you take it. So one person must be the EZE ARO designate. And that person who emerged 5, who had 5, acknowledged 5 from the kingmakers of 7, was selected. And his name is Prince Eberechukwu Oji. We selected him. The other one now stood up and objected after the result has been announced. Why did you do that? When you have submitted yourself to the entire process for the entire period, not a week, not a day, not a month, because the families were all involved, all these years, to months, to weeks, to days, to hours, to the last minute. And we had to go the traditional way. After selecting the Eberechukwu, he was taken to their family, the royal family, and presented them. After that, he was taken to the ancestral village called Utugugu. And libations were poured, acceptance speeches were made. He was also brought to the final point of Okennachi, that is at Bianco, where Amaja unit of Bianco came up and joined. He was presented by the eldest prince, who ought to be, if they had not said they were looking for younger people, our process would have been the oldest amongst the princes. The man raised his hand, gave him to the Eze Bianco, who was being represented by Eze Amove as the tradition demands, and Eze Amaja. They both performed the necessary libations and acceptance. And at that moment, Eberechukwu became the EZE ARO designate. And that is the completion of it. Any other thing that remains ceremonial. That's how Eberechukwu emerged as EZE ARO designate. Properly conducted, transparently, nothing hidden, nothing amiss. All the traditional processes were carried out. Due traditional processes were carried out. That's what I mentioned. Now, what happened later? That one of the EZE Ibomisi went and crowned a person that may be described. Let me be careful. That was not selected. It's something that we cannot explain. The processes have been completed. Okennachi has selected, whose traditional duty it is to select EZE ARO. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I wanted to find out from you, sir. How many kingmakers do you have in Eberechukwu?
How many
Kingmakers
do we have here?
do you have in Eberechukwu?
The question is, how many kingmakers do we have in Eberechukwu kingdom?
Yes.
That's the question.
That's the question. Then, if we have more than one, why should one person go and crown somebody as the traditional ruler of Eberechukwu?
All right. The kingmakers depend on the king. The king of Eberechukwu kingdom, the kingmakers are Okennachi.
I mean, Eberechukwu kingdom.
Are Okennachi. The kingmakers are Okennachi. The presenters, the owners of the stool.
Let me take your media and your name.
Okay, my name is Timkat Nambol. I I'm from inside the Niger Delta. And my question, sir, to you, Mr. Chairman, is I understand, trying to gather information, just for the sake of clarity, I understand that the selection committee had somebody like, I can't remember his name, one Mr. Sobaz as the chairman before you came in as the chairman. So can you bring us up to speed with the development that led to his, leaving the selection committee?
A very simple thing, where he was involved, we appointed him the chairman. And I am still the chairman of the Okennachi stakeholders. The stakeholders appointed him the chairman of the selection committee, but he participated in the process till a certain point in time when he couldn't appear on that same day. No reason was given, and we didn't know his reason. And so when we came for the meeting, he was not there, and I had to take up the responsibility because I even on the process I was his vice. So in the absence immediately, I took it up.
The reason for my question for clarity again is that some people heard from some quarters saying that he smelled a foul play, then he left. Because he never wanted, he smelled a foul play in the process, then he left. And again, my second question, you add it up together.
No, I didn't know about that.
Okay. The second question is that we also understand, or some quarters have it on record, that Prince Engineer Eberechukwu was not part of the process all along, but he came in just about few months to the conclusion of the process. So for them, it felt like it smelled fishy again. So can you clarify that?
The President General can put more flesh to that.
Now, for clarity too, these questions are not directed on any one person.
Yes.
Throw your question, any other person can answer.
It's open to
Everybody.
Yeah, when you say, okay, your question again.
Okay, I understand, or I was told by the reason of my interaction with some certain persons.
Yes.
And I can say confidently that I've interacted with both parties.
Yes.
There's one-on-one answer questions. And one of the concerns that some reporters or people from the other divide have is that that all along, leading to the selection, Prince Engineer Eberechukwu was not in the picture. But just months into the conclusion, he came in. So they smell some fishy deal. That's why they are not satisfied with the outcome.
That is very laughable. I say so because, not in the picture, which picture? Which picture? You're only a candidate when you are nominated. Isn't that correct? They all belong to the royal family. And it was only when we said, give us somebody. And if you cannot give us one person from the three families, let each family give us a candidate. It was at that point, as far as I'm concerned, as far as we are concerned, that anybody became a candidate. You understand? Any other permutation is nonsense. Anybody saying he was on the picture, who was in the picture? Which picture? So people had already assumed for themselves that they already were EZE. In a political party, or whatever, you only become a candidate when you are nominated by your party. You only become a candidate. Isn't that correct? So each of them was nominated by his family. The records are here. So it's at that moment
Okay, let me
that
help
they
out.
became
Let me help out.
relevant to us.
Part of the misinformation going out there is that he came in after the process has started. You can hear. After the process has started. But we have it on record that the letter inviting the families to nominate gave a deadline of 5th of October. Gave a deadline of 5th of October. And we can show you letters nominating a Ebere that arrived in the selection committee on the 3rd. But the letter was dated 1st of October.
Yeah. Now,
1st of October.
these are the nominations.
1st of October, arrived 3rd of October. The deadline was 5th of October. Look at the timelines.
These are
So
these are nominations.
how will you now say that it came after, when the deadline for nomination was 5th of October, and the nomination came 3rd, at least arrived in the selection committee 3rd of October, but was dated 1st of October. So let's take 1st of October as the right date of nomination, because that was the day the letter for nomination from the family was sent to the selection committee. Because the selection committee was asking these 3 different families nominate candidates for screening. And each of these people that were part of this thing wrote letters. They didn't do verbal nomination. They did written nomination. And we have evidence.
Now, hold on, please, hold on. Please, just hold on.
Can I add?
Hold on. Now, these are the nominations. On the 26th of September,
Please, just a minute. They are interested in knowing who is responding to what. So, if you don't remember,
yeah,
so this is Martin.
yeah. The nominations came like this. September 26th, Prince Idei was nominated. That's when it came in. September 26th. Okennachi Oji was nominated 30th September. Mazi Okoro, 25th of September. Eberechukwu Oji, the letter reads 1st October. It reached me on the 3rd of October. So it was dated on 1st of October. The closing date was October 5. So who came after?
Yes. Mayhem in the kingdom. Because this other party could say, why are you doing this? We didn't do our own on the 26th. Then you waited for us on the 29th, you did your own. Problem. They will clash.
Okay.
Talking about the arrest, I just want to understand something quickly. Does it mean that the entire process, because you understand, we saw on one YouTube channel that this guy, counsel to Mazi, is saying that every matter now is in court and no committee has power to deliberate or to talk about the entire matter. So does this even apply to you, given your position, or is just on the case he was arrested?
Yeah. Bring your question again.
Caution there. Any person has the right to say what he wants to say, but the law knows what is the law. If they knew that the case was in court, why did they go to do what they did on 29th? We'll stop at that.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Can we take more?
All right. When we are asking questions, actually, what we intend to do to make sure that we have the right information,
Yes.
that the public out there doesn't get deceived, because millions are actually banking or not to get able to get an equal matter. So
Correct.
neither for A nor B, get to know the press. Just like we will not be happy if perhaps by our write-up you are misrepresented as taken. My little question is because, as journalists, we listen to rumors a lot.
Yeah.
And it's by these rumors, when we see them, we're able to get close to the truth. It was said that a man who claimed, or who is claiming to be the EZE ARO, which of course we dismiss as an impostor, there was a crown placed on his head, and it is only a man whose head has tasted that crown until he's out of this planet, that no other person in Eberechukwu would assume the throne. So, sir, in this debacle, considering the fact that that crown, whether by omission or by commission, has touched his head, what are you people going to do? Finally, too, another rumor said that in Aro, one man, meaning a man whose father is still alive, will never ascend the throne. Are you going to change the goalpost in the middle of the game?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I will.
Can I take? Let me answer the last one. Somebody can answer the first.
I'm sorry, and a follow-up. Has
But
there
there
been any
are
example?
two questions.
Go on this. Has there been any example in the history of Eberechukwu where somebody whose father was alive?
All right, let me say, I'm coming here to give you that this is a chief of a village, and the man who poured libation to declare him. So you answer whether that crown is the EZE ARO crown, or whether that crown is another crown. You will answer that. Now, the issue of Mama saying, when we say Okennachi, means that Oke is the son of Nachi, isn't it? But the man, Nachi, was alive and allowed his son to become a king. Very much alive. And he lived years before he died. He had three sons. Okay, Akuma, Anyim. Okay, lineage has been ruling. Akuma and Anyim has not been ruling because their father did not rule. They are not competing. Another one, give you an example, EZE Amukwa. EZE Amukwa is alive. He's still alive. EZE Amukwa is alive. His grandfather was alive when he handed over to his father before he now became a king. Another one, EZE Iromantu, His Royal Highness EZE Iromantu of Aro extraction in Ben, the local government. The father was alive. He became a king. He was made the king of the place. And all of us, including me, and the entire royalty and the kingdom leadership, celebrated him, and offered him drinks and blessed him. That's so many cases in Aro. And not again, the man who purportedly did what people are saying crowning. The father is still alive. Yeah, because the first son of a man is his father.
Yeah, when the father departs.
The first son of a man is his father when the father dies. So the first son, who is Okpara of his father, is still alive, and he became Eze Bomisi, and then he's still living. And I asked him, is your father not alive? He asked him, that was a special case. Which special case? There are so many of them like that. I've given you 3 or 4 or 5 examples. So it is not an issue.
And it's not an Aro.
And it is not, there's no abomination, it is not an abomination in Aro. It is not unusual in Aro. And stuff like that. The second part.
Yeah, what is the second part of the question? Okay. The crown. the EZE is saying that,
Hold on.
Who was that?
yeah, the crown the EZE is saying about is not EZE Aro's crown.
Simple as that.
Strange crown.
It is not EZE Aro's crown.
That is, it was a strange crown.
It was
It's
a
a strange
strange
crown.
crown. It was a strange crown, and it's a fetish one. Obama. It's a juju crown. So he did that on his own.
That's all.
The back office, yeah. That's all.
I'm flying.
Yeah.
I'm flying.
And the Okennachi. Yeah. Yeah. It's still in the palace of Okennachi.